A few months ago, I made a top 5 favorite directors list. That list being Wes Anderson, Edgar Wright, Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, and Tim Burton at number 5. But then I rewatched Dazed and Confused and thought, hey, maybe I should watch more of this Linklater guy's movies. And since then, I've watched Slacker, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and then I rewatched Boyhood and School of Rock because I guess the guy who directed Dazed and Confused also made School of Rock. Then, Linklater climbed his way from not on my list to number 3 on my list, ranking him above Christopher Nolan. I know, calm down. I don't really know what it is about Richard Linklater that does it for me, but he does it for me, and no other film of his does it for me like Dazed and Confused. Dazed and Confused is a 1993 film that takes place on the last day of school in 1976 and is about, well, it's not really about anything, which is the first reason we love it so much. It's so relaxing because we get to relax. I mean, compare this to something like Seven or No Country for Old Men, where you have to really pay attention to what's going on. That can drive a lot of people away from watching something. I said this about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but the same applies to Dazed and Confused. I could fall asleep during this movie and wake up missing like 15 minutes, and the movie wouldn't care. You're not really missing anything, and that chill of an environment is what is so relieving about Dazed and Confused. The pothead characters help create this environment, which is another reason people love this movie. The characters are so unique, but still feel like kids you knew or wanted to know in high school. I mean, have you ever seen another Wooderson in another movie? No, because he's unique, but is he realistic? Yes. The perfect blend between unique and realistic is what draws viewers in and makes them feel like a part of the film, creating a unique viewing experience where we literally feel like we're hanging out with the characters rather than just watching them. The lack of plot and characters are great, don't get me wrong, but I think the setting is what makes Dazed and Confused, and could ultimately be the number one reason of why we love it so much. The last day of school in 1976. Why did Linklater choose this? Well, it's relatable. Everyone in this movie is excited it's the last day of school, and I'm sure you were excited about the last day of school too. I know I always was and still am, and I'm sure almost everyone loves the last day of school. In Dazed and Confused, the excitement is what drives everyone to go out that night and throw parties, and because we all can relate to the feeling on the last day of school, we're excited too. And we want them to go out, and we feel the enthusiasm they feel, which is another tactic Linklater uses to draw us closer to the characters. But why did he choose 1976? A lot of people have problems with these kinds of period pieces because they rely too heavily on nostalgia, but Linklater didn't rely on nostalgia. He just simply used it to propel his story. Weed and going out / having parties was still a thing in the 90s, and it's still a thing today, but it was very popular in the 70s. Plus, the way the characters interact and communicate is something that is slowly fading, and it was faded in the 90s and is especially faded today, which is why 1976 is a smart choice on Linklater's part, defining what Dazed and Confused is. So why do we love Dazed and Confused? It's because of how all of those reasons combined makes us feel in the end. I get the same feeling I would get asking a girl out as I do watching Dazed and Confused. It's a brilliantly crafted film that no other filmmaker will ever be able to replicate. Dazed and Confused is my favorite movie, and I look forward to many rewatches in the future.